hello there. Hi, you. Thanks for coming by. This is Candace with Happy Catastrophe. I'm here in my cabin this evening, and this is a voiceover video because I finished reading the book, Zhara. What's the full name is Guardian. It's from the Guardians of Dawn series. So this is Zhara, the first in the series of 4, and this is by S. Jae-Jones. And this book, I just finished it, and we chose this page to color for it. Zhara is a very, very poor girl living in, this is like an ancient East Asian fantasy land. It's set in, and she's living with her evil stepmother, of course, because they're always evil, right, in these stories, and the stepmother's biological daughter. And we know right off the bat, at the very beginning, that Zhara has some sort of magical power that she doesn't understand. So she's magic, and she lives with this horrible woman in an era where magicians are put to death. It is believed that people who are magicians will eventually turn into what they call abominations, because several magicians have. And those are huge monsters that just wreak havoc across the land, and they're very hard to kill. And nobody knows the cure to this, what they call sort of a disease or an epidemic that only afflicts magicians. So a break in the story here, and there will be no spoilers, just want to let you know, in case you want to read this. I decided to do this page. This is a Wurley Art page. This is in the book Magical Cosmos by Wurley Arts, and this one was a gift, and my first page in it. And I decided I wanted the colors to be really opaque and bold, so I'm going in with, I do the entire thing in Tim Holtz watercolor sticks. What does he call them? Crayons. Tim Holtz Gel Crayons, that's what he calls them. And then at the end, I use some acrylic paint pens out of my big tub of old cheap acrylic paint pens I'm trying to get through, and some gel pens. So while you're watching this, back to the story of Zhara. So Suzanne is the biological daughter of the evil stepmother. So Zhara and Suzanne are equal in age, and they're both treated horribly. We learn immediately that Suzanne is blind, and that is because of an accident Zhara had with her magic. We don't know what that accident is until the end, though. So these are, again, this is all going to be spoiler-free. But we know that she sometimes has magic that sort of bubbles up, especially in times of extreme emotion. And she just has to hide it, and her skin will glow, and it's very hard to hide, because if she's caught by the current regime's soldiers that roam the cities and villages and stuff looking for these magicians, she'll be put to death. So then this story is a story of adventure, as Zhara has a series of adventures. And each one releases her magic more and confuses her even more. She has no idea. And then she has some chance encounters, and it's so cute. Like, there's this medieval pornography that's going around. I mean, this is a middle age book. This is not even young adult. There's no sex. There's one kiss. It's so cute. So the pornography is really just, it's soft, and they read, there's a few stanzas read out of these quote unquote, books that are mass produced, and they're more romances and love stories than anything. And Zhara just loves the book. She loves the books, and she works for, in the village, she works for an apothecary. And she sort of just does shelf stocking and stuff for this really adept herbalist. And she loves this one really popular series of romance stories, and she's oohing and eyeing over the second edition that has come for sale, which of course she has no money for, when she has a very physical run into a counter with a young man named Han. And Han was looking for a very specific magical book, and somehow it all got mixed up. And Zhara gets the magical book, Han gets the romance, and then, but he is really smitten with Zhara. Now, Zhara has freckles, so I do end up giving this character freckles here on the page. Right now, I'm just blending in some more of those gel crayons with my blender tool, my favorite one. I bought these off Temu. You can get them off Amazon. They're the ones with the white felted end on one end, which I never ever use, and the wonderful rubber end on the other. I have purchased a few different blending tools, and these are the best I've found for oil pastels. They work great with King Art gel sticks. You can even dampen them if you want to use water to move things around. And these gel crayons are water soluble, but I like them on full strength rather than these particular ones diluted with water. King Art's diluted with water I do enjoy. Every gel stick I've used or gel crayon has been different from any other. So they're all very different. King Art's is a little bit thinner and spreads easier. These are thicker and more opaque, don't spread as easy, have interesting colors. Gelatos, fabric, those are very expensive and sort of a high end, and are much more subtle and shimmery. They're all different. And my suggestion is just try them. But I did see a colorist recently buy a knockoff set of King Arts under a different name, sort of a white label, and they're packaged exactly like King Arts, same colors and everything, and several of them were dry. And watching the colorist struggle trying to get even the non-dry ones to blend just hurt my heart. So definitely just stick with the King Arts. They're not that expensive, and you can find them even used. I bought my set used. Anyway, these are Tim Holtz, and many of these come in, unfortunately, not huge sets. They come in packs that you have to buy. And I've bought several. I buy them used because I think they're way overpriced, but I've also had lovely people gift me many of these. So some of you will see me using the colors you gifted me. It's so beautiful. Anyway, so Zhara and Han run into each other, and this is how her found family starts. So she has Suzanne, her sister, but her sister is really just kind of stuck with her mother. And Suzanne is the one who makes all the money for the family, who cooks for the family, who cleans for the family. She's kind of Cinderella. However, she feels like she's beholden to the stepmother, even as horrible as she is. The stepmother is an alcoholic and is always drunk and has beaten these girls a lot. There's a lot of, it's not so much described in the moment. It's usually described right after it happens, but there's a lot of abuse. And Zhara takes it because the stepmother knows she has magic and has never turned her in. So she feels, grateful and sort of beholden to the stepmother. So she'll do whatever the stepmother wants her to do. And in her eyes, the stepmother allowing her to exist is a form of love. And so this book is not only a book of found family, it's also a book of understanding what love is. All right, so I finished the sky there, and now we're going to go in, and I'm just touching some things up, and then we're going to start working on the stones, I believe, or the lightning. Anyway, you'll see me working on it. So Zhara doesn't really know what love is. Her father, where's her father? Okay, her father died. He was a magician, and he was put to death. So when the regime changed, magicians used to be looked up to and honored, but there was a regime change, and now not so much. And spoiler alert, but not spoiler alert. Here I'm trying a different blender thing I have to see if it works, but it's just too soft. I need something more firm to blend these stiff gel crayons. So I'm just playing around with a few different blending tools, and I go back to my tried and true, but to do yellow, I have to make sure that all of the dark colors are off of this one. So I'm getting it wet up in my jar and then rubbing it until it rubs clear, and it's still not quite. So then I decide I'm going to just take it straight off of the gel crayon, which is one way to do it. But it's a slower way, so I just decide to do it the quickest way possible. Now, this is sped up. I'm not actually coloring this fast. This is sped up, double time. But, and it is messy. You'll see it's not clean. But I do go back over it with some acrylics. Yeah, I'm not liking the way that's looking. But you'll see. You'll think my pages are always ugly before they're done. There's lots of ugly phases and messy phases, and there's all sorts of ways with acrylic and gel pens to clean that up. Anyway, yes. So Han has a very good friend. I don't think I'll tell you who Han is or who any of these folks are. It's just for you to find out. But Han has a very good friend named Zhu, and Zhu is a transgendered character. They go by they, born probably biologically male, but dresses female, wears makeup. They often talk about Zhu's perfect makeup. And it's just a non-issue. In fact, any gender, any sexuality is just a non-issue in this book. And it's so refreshing that it isn't that, oh, this is a transgender character. Now we're going to refer to them as that constantly, and the story's going to be about their struggles. No, it's just that's who they are. And Han introduces Zhu into us, and Zhu is we have this omniscient sort of viewpoint that just sort of introduces Zhu to us and then lets it go. And it's great. Now Han, it has an arranged marriage that's happening, and the arranged marriage is Wurley, otherwise Wurley, which is the third book. So Wurley is someone special, and we'll find out about Wurley. Wurley is a lesbian. She obviously has a way with the women, and the women all swoon around her. It's just great. It's really great. I love Wurley's character. She's got this big badass bird that goes around with her. She's tough. She comes from a warrior type a culture. She rides horseback. She hunts. She's fantastic. She's a wonderful character, and I can't wait to read her book. But this is the book of Zhara. So you'll see Zhara running into the 4 books in this series are Zhara, Ami, Wurley, and one that starts with an S. I know you can hear Jack chomping on his bone because that's what he does when we're on camera. But Zhua, anyway, that one's not published yet, I don't think. So we're starting with Zhara. And Zhara she's a little frustrating at first, I feel, because she's so helpless and she's so gullible and so dumb when it comes to the shenanigans of her horrible stepmom. But we get to know Zhara very slowly, and she's more than that. She's very deep. It's just she has been horribly abused, mentally and physically. And she's got a Stockholm Syndrome type thing where she is certain that her stepmother is doing the best she can for her and is keeping her safe, and would never do anything to intentionally hurt her because she hasn't so far, right? Except beat her up a lot and keep her as a housekeeper. But so Zhara's just sort of living this existence. And then as her magic starts oozing out of the edges, she can't contain it. She can't champ it down because she gets into these situations. And as she meets more of this found family, this group of young people, who all have their own special knowledge about magic, but they're young. And in their lifetime, magicians were not allowed to be. So they don't have some of the older knowledge of back when magicians were allowed to, help and be free, and the world was full of magic. They don't have that knowledge, so they're sort of reinventing the wheel. They're sort of a generation that's been cut off from the possibilities. And but they can't stop what's happening to Zhara. Turns out Han has a younger brother who's also born a magician, and they can't hide. As he's growing older, they can't hide Jackson. Hold on one second. Jack. And they can't hide what's happening to Jack, right? They can't hide what's happening to Han's little brother. And they, so as they meet people who can help them, they're all sort of the same age, and they're this young just group of kids just trying to figure it out. And they all some of them think they kind of know what's happening to Zhara. So there's one who takes her under her wing and tries to teach her, but it's not taking. And it turns out what's happening to Zhara is something that none of these folks have seen. Sorry, I'm trying to get Jack's attention and keep him from not barking at just nothing. He's looking out the window. It's the evening here and people are walking by and such. But so nobody really knows what Zhara is, including Zhara. And so this progresses. We meet some monsters along the way. We have to fight some magicians who were really good people before they turned into abominations. We come across some pretty dark magic, and some magicians have been disappearing. Not only are magicians put to death, but there has been a large amount of them that simply disappeared. We find out what happened to them. There is a wonderful magical cat who I adore, who isn't a talking cat like in another series I'm reading, but very sentient and gives fantastic droll eye rolls. There is all kinds of wonderful humans in this. There is an old indigenous culture that has been radically erased and killed and shoved into this small area where they live now, very similar to the American Indian. And they have an ancient knowledge, but nobody listens to them. But they're tapped into. They're tapped into as a resource to help by these kids. And of course, because they're kids, I think that's why people trust them, because they're kids. Nobody trusts the adults anymore. So it is, we get through the book and we find out who Zhara is. And as she finds out, I think we kind of figure out a little bit beforehand, but Zhara is just a typical kid. You know, she's not brilliant. She's just your typical kid, and she has been through a lot, so she's sort of shut down. And as she figures out who she is and where she is in this world, it's usually by accident that she figures out what her powers are and what she can do. And largely, it's done without intention. She has no idea how she's doing these things. So we're kind of stumbling along with her, figuring it out. Han is a fantastic character. He is more brawn than brains. And he's delightfully ignorant. He sleeps through history class, and his favorite study is, the muscles and being fit. Where Zhu, his best friend, is extremely intelligent and is tasked with trying to make sure that Han doesn't end up killing himself inadvertently, and is sort of Han's protector, but also Han's wealth of knowledge. Zhu's the smart one, but the exasperation Zhu has for Han sometimes because Han doesn't remember his history is awesome. It's just, there's a lot of cute interactions in this book. It's a young book. It reads like a young book. So definitely, it's not very well received among the adult reading community. It's really not ever talked about. There have been some special editions made of it, a couple of them, and I have, you've seen the one I have, and I'll show you it again at the end. It's a beautiful book that I bought used. You can find it used all over the place for super cheap. Just because it's not really everyone's favorite, this series is. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if people are expecting more, but this is a young person's book about young people. So I would be really put off if they were acting like adults. I mean, they're all kind of just trying to figure out in a world without adults, because either their adults are evil, or they're vacant, or they're dead, or they're off in another land. The adults just aren't around to help guide these folks, and they get betrayed. There's some adults in this book that we think are the good guys, and they're not. So they get betrayed over and over, and they've learned not to trust. Is it a great book? No, it's not. I mean, it's not one that I would give 5 stars to. Now, my rating scale for me is 3 stars and above. I would recommend. 3 below 3 stars it has got a lot of problems. A 5-star book is epic to me. It's perfect in every way. And I do have quite a few 5 stars. This one, I think I have struggled with because when I first finished, I was like, yeah, that was fun. And I was thinking like 3.5 or something. But the more I think about it, the more I really appreciate it. And Jae-Jones is a pretty prolific, is somewhat prolific author, but has written some things that I really like. So I'm rooting for Zhara, and I'm in this for the series. Here I'm pulling out a Languo gel pen, the gold, to this is how I clean up my messy lightning bolts. I'm going to just cover the lines in gold so that you don't see where I went over the lines. And I also will be going back in with more yellow acrylic paint pens, and we'll be giving that yellow some more brightness. Now, because I am also going over, these lines were gone over with the gel crayon, that will gum up the end of my Languo gel pen, and so I often go to that scrap piece of paper behind and clean it off. So sometimes the problem with the gel pens is that they've gotten gummy from whatever you're coloring on top. And every applicator of any medium you use on top of a gel, like a pastel or an oil pastel or these gel crayons, they do get gummy. You got to kind of clean them up because that stuff is waxy. Now, the gel crayons, as well as the King Arts especially, will dry, and then you can do a lot on top of them. I'm not waiting for these to dry very well. I'm very impatient when it comes to that. So these aren't dry. And I am putting some kind of yellow sparks in there, or stars. If I had let this dry overnight, it would be easier to work on top of. The King Arts dry down to nothing, and you can use anything on top of them. They're great. But I really wanted these colors, and honestly, I had my box of gel crayons right next to me. I'd have to get up to go get the King Arts because I just happened to have these next to me and hadn't put them away yet. So that's what got used. And this is my first time using a gel crayon type medium on an Amazon printed book, and it turned out fine. No, it didn't blend like it would on better paper, but nothing really blends on this paper. Most things just soak in. And I'm really enjoying how much fun and how fast this was. I ended up finishing this in 2 evenings because I did actually have to let the gel pens dry. They're not forgiving. They will smear for a little while. You got to let them dry for a bit. All right. So anyway, back to the book. This is my first color and read, or read and color, or coloring what I've read. I keep getting mixed up on what I'm going to call this. But I have loved it because having this page I was going to color this page while I was reading, but it didn't work out that way. I had other videos I was doing, and I finished reading the book first. But I felt myself even more inspired to color it. I just really am rooting for Zhara, and she did turn out to be she's not morally gray at all. She has a very strong moral, but she's the confused heroine. We know more than she does. And she has quite a journey, and I'm rooting for her. I am really rooting for her. And at the end of the book, she knows a lot more about herself, not just her magic, which she still is not really in control of, but she gets it. She knows what it does now. But she's learned a lot about human nature. And she was let down in a big way. Before we meet her, while we're meeting her, and at the end. And because of that, she learns. She learns and she grows. And to me, that part was really easy to believe. Because as young people, many of us, or many of the young people we know, have been let down by adults. So this was something that was really realistic to me, that she might have been actually let down by the adults in her life. There are other guardians to meet, those other three that we've learned, and we have met Zuli, and Ami was referred to in this book. So these books really do need to be, even though each one focuses on a different guardian, you do need to read them in order, I believe, because you wouldn't get Yuli's personality if you didn't get to know her here in this book before we knew she was actually the Yuli. We are told by her actions too. So everything. Oh, that's another thing I love about this books is we learn by being shown, not told. Like, we don't really know how she caused her sister's blindness until the very, very end, and even then, it's not super clear. Only because Zhara herself recounts it to another person. So we only know what Zhara knows. Now we have better judgment and inference and a little more information because we're also seeing Han's life. So we're seeing what's happening in areas of the village where Zhara isn't, but we don't learn anything any faster than Zhara does. And I find that really lovely. I felt like I was really involved with her and along with her journey. And I like books like that. I don't like books that give me a bunch of backstory. They're just going to tell me about all this stuff that happened before the book started. That to me is so boring and so kind of lazy. I think it's harder to write having the character unveil it little by little for you. I think that's harder. This book, it wasn't so fascinating that I devoured it, but I read it pretty quickly. I really did. And when I settled into reading, I really enjoyed it. I could read big chunks at a time. It is, how many pages is it? It's not too long. All of these books, though, are, books today, 404 pages, and that's with the acknowledgments. 400 pages is about normal now for some of these adventure books. And for me, it's very refreshing to have a story and not just jumping in the sack together, what's called insta-love. I love it when there's a story. And yeah, there's love here, but it's so cute and 16-year-old, 15-year-old, well, maybe not today's 16-year-olds, but it's such a cute young love. It's so sweet when they're just so goofy around each other. And Han is incredibly endearing because he's absolutely clueless around girls, and both of them get completely tongue-tied and goofy when they're around each other. And I love that. But they're asked to grow up pretty fast, and they grow up in a very dangerous world, and they have to make big adult decisions. The ending, I felt it went a little fast. I think there was just a lot to say in this book, and the ending kind of went quickly. Now, I don't know if I was reading when I was tired or trying to fit it in between things, but it felt like I got a little bit lost, and they had to get to the top of this mountain really quickly, and then all of a sudden they're there. So there were some rushed things I felt, but, and the ending was so poetic and lyrical and beautiful that I'm not really sure what happened. but I enjoyed being there. It just all happened to Zhara. It just all sort of magically, all this magic came out of her and did stuff. And I don't understand what it did, but it was beautiful. Jae-Jones had a beautiful poetic style of writing that she kind of tapped into there towards the end. And it was pretty. I don't know really what happened though. So the ending probably needs a little bit of help, but it wasn't a letdown ending. It ends exactly the way you want it to end. So that was satisfying, whether we know how we got there or not. It was satisfying. It was a bunch of magic that hadn't been introduced before because Zhara had never experienced it. So it was all new to her too. So maybe we're supposed to be as confused as she is by what happened at the end. Because it seems like there are a few other people in her life in this story that do get it. They've studied history, or they were around when these guardians were around, or whatever. But these guardians are ancient and only come into existence. They only come into a reincarnated type thing when they're needed. So they're not. Some of these people have only thought they were only legends. Zhara thought they were only legends. She didn't think they were real, and here she is one. In fact, the comment is made by some old creatures that she encounters, speculating why the guardian of fire, which is what she is, why the guardian of fire chose Zhara to resurrect in. Just this little, poor girl with no memories, and didn't give her any memories. So that is interesting, where another guardian we run into actually knows how to use their magic and has memories. Why would the guardian of fire choose to incarnate in this one? But that's just more speculation and more stuff to answer in further books. All right. So since it was just going to be more of the same, I went ahead and did this offline while the video was uploading. And look at it. I really like it. So all of this... Let's see, all of this here that you didn't see me color is yet another just old acrylic pen that's not even dry yet, that I would like to be done with. So I use them, whenever I don't need anything fancy. You saw me do all of this with the gel sticks. She's all done in acrylic. I did make her with red hair and freckles. Because that's, orange and freckles, because she is mentioned to have red hair and freckles in the book. And then the Shiny Stones is still the gel crayons by Tim Holtz. That's a shiny, a very dear friend gifted me some shinies, and that's one of them. I did add some more acrylic paint pens in here just to sort of really brighten it up. I added sort of a yellow green and then various yellows just to give it some more dynamic. And then, of course, the gold Languo. That was not a Languo, is it? That's Panda Fly. Yeah, because my Panda Fly, this is a Panda Fly. Yeah, because I have Panda Flies in gold and silver as well. So I think that's what that was. And then I did the same for the fire down here. Just, there's nothing like a gel pen to clean up an edge, a line. So you saw how messy all this was, but the gel pens just cleaned it up. And then I put some washi tape, some really thin washi tape that I have for some shine around the edges. And I even went so far as to take a white Posca to, Thule Art. It was a Thule Art, and it's still wet too. To kind of go over this because I was very messy on the edges. So I just wanted to clean that up. Could have done that in black. Would have looked good. May still. But that's my Zhara page for the book we read. I think it really turned out well. The reason I chose this one, I mentioned when I did choose it, was it's up near some old ruins that she has her first huge fire magic episode that she can't control it. Now, she doesn't have a staff. The fire just comes out of her hands, but this was the page that reminded me of her. And the reason I chose it was because this character looks so happy, like she's having a good time. And I really wanted Zhara to be happy, which she does find happiness, I think. So let me show you the book. This is the pretty edition I have. This was bought used. I believe this has a plastic cover on it. See how that works? Like it goes right over that. I've never seen a book like this. And the writing is in gold foil. I think this version was done by Bookish Box, which I believe is an English post-printing production company that, you know, one of those subscription boxes that you can get all these beautiful editions from. Again, I'd never seen this one and found it used. Here's the edge. Now, when you put this over it, it says Zhara, which is really cool. It's just neat idea, and I wish more books would do that, because also that plastic slipcover really works good as a protection. It has these sprayed edges that go all the way around, which don't match the color scheme, I think, of the rest of it. But I don't think the sprayed edges match very well, but they are magnificent, aren't they? Very ancient Asian looking, Far East. And then this is the inside art that you see. And on both the front and the back, it's the same. So this is Zhara and Han. I think it's so sweet. And it's, you hear that? That's not new book. That's falling apart book. So yeah, it's a used book. So I'm going to have to be careful if I reread this, because it's got some issues in the spine. But it was really, I mean, pretty big font. It was easy to read. Lots of fun. I found her writing style to be really fun. And I didn't, you know, no errors. There's a lot of mass-produced, mostly in the romance genre, where, my gosh, I think they need either better editors or to go back to their English class, because there was one that I stopped, what they call DNF, did not finish. I DNF'd it at 10 pages because I couldn't stand that they couldn't write, that their grammar was so off, it was terrible. But yeah, so that's Zhara. I do not have the next one in the series, which is Ami. I don't have any more in this series, so I'm going to be going on used books. They're all over. Mercari, Vinted, if you can find them on Pango. Pango is the cheapest place to get used books, because usually lots of times there's no shipping. And sometimes Mercari or Vinted has no shipping days, but Pango is consistently the cheapest. So if I can find, I'll be going on and finding a used copy. And I don't know what version it will be, but it will probably be pretty, because I think even the original published traditional hardback is very pretty. So once I get that one, I'll continue on with the series at some point. I am in the middle of quite a few series. Would you like to see what I wrote up about it? This is my coloring, no, it's not. This is my reading journal, my reading book journal. I have not shown you this, and I can do a special, I'll do a special video just for this, but get, book, read, repeat. This is an Archer and Olive hardback notebook that comes in my, I have a quarterly subscription. I did print off these here from just free off the internet, and then printed them out on kind of a thick, I think it was actually sticker paper. Yeah. And then just created them. So I just started at the end of April doing this. That says April, in case you can't read it. So if we go to June, and what I do for every page, I haven't done Zhara's yet. We should do Zhara together. All right, I'll do that. But what I do for every page, because it takes, because I think reading an entire book is quite an endeavor. So, I mean, I don't do it as often as I color a page. So I do an independent page, like a junk journal type page for every book I read. And the most recent book right before Zhara I finished was Beautiful Ugly. And I'll put how many stars I gave it. This was 4.5. This was a fantastic book. And I will talk about it in another video I have planned. And we'll do Zhara's in that video. Usually what I do is glue together a couple pages. I've even had to start taking it. These are sewn bound. I've even had to start taking out pages because, it's getting thick. So I'll take pages out, I'll glue pages together just to keep the integrity of the binding. But it should last me through the rest of the year, I would think. I'm reading 6 or 7 books a month. These are the current series that I'm involved in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Unfortunately, unlike when I was young and reading, everything's a series. It's very hard to find standalones anymore unless you're in the mystery thriller type. And I'm not into those as much. Horror, I like horror. One of my 5 stars was a horror book. But these are all the series that I'm involved with. Several of these are humorous. A couple of them are just gratuitous romance. The Gentle Apocalypse series is hysterical by M.H. Foster. I think you can only find it on Kindle. I don't even think it's printed, and it's fantastic. So funny. Shield of Sparrows is a duology. I just need to read the second one. So I told myself I wasn't going to start any more series until I worked some more on this one. And that worked out well because one of the next books I am doing is I have started the Lore of Olympus series. Again, I'm finding these used. There's a lot of them, 10 of them. And I've read the first one. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I have a buddy who saw that I was reading, got hold of me, and wanted to buddy read a book, which is fantastic. We do no time frame. That's the next book we read, and we get to talk about it with spoilers and everything, which is wonderful. So she's reading the Lore Olympus series. So we're doing volume 2 together. And this is the volume 2. These are graphic art novels, using a very limited palette for each area, either above world or underworld, and for each character. So you start to be able to tell the characters by what color they are. It is gorgeous. It is wonderful, it's beautiful, and as fun and entertaining as it looks, it's actually pretty heavy stuff. The first one ended with a pretty heavy situation. So these are not for kids. But this is the story of Hades and Persephone, and the first one was how they met, but it's like in a mid-modern style setting and mid-century modern style setting. Like they go to cocktail clubs and stuff, and it's just really, really good. I mean, you can read one of these in an evening, which I did. I read the first one in an evening, but then I went back and read it again because so much, every little drawing tells so much. It's just, I got wrapped up in the artist and how they make their characters look, like how they make them look, scared and worried, or how they make them look angry or sad, and all the things that's being done to these characters. It's just, these are gorgeous books. And also a great reference for if you have the Lore Olympus coloring book, which I found out I do not and thought I did. So I'm going to be, I did see it at Walmart recently, but I think I can get it used. And so I'm going to hunt it down because I would like to color some of these scenes. This is Persephone, who gets along with all animals, and this is Hades' Cerberus dog, or his dog, Hound of Hell. And this dog is not a very good guard dog when it comes to Persephone. Persephone's cute. She's this little voluptuous creature who's very innocent, and Hades, of course, is not, but he's sort of awkward around girls and isn't like his brothers, and they do adore each other, although this looks like there might be some strife in their relationship. So it's kind of like a like a soap opera, but taking place with these gods. Rachel Smythe has done a wonderful job. So that's going to be one of the books I'm reading next. And I'm doing this as a buddy read. If you are in the Lore Olympus and are up to volume 2 and would like to join me, just let me know. It's very specific. I usually read a couple books at a time only because some of the books I read are like these beautiful versions and I don't want to take them to work and bang them up. So I'll have something on my Kindle as well, or a book that I feel comfortable carrying around. So I don't know when I will get to the second book in this series. I'm just sort of I'm maxing the series out that I'm involved in now, and I want to keep up on them. I want to go back to the oldest ones, and so I don't forget, because you know me, I'll have to reread the first one again, which is silly. So thank you. Thank you for coming along on this fun journey. This is the first time. I will be coloring a page I am currently reading right now a book called Death's Daughter. So I think that might be the next one we'll color a page for, because it's humorous, it's funny. It's about Death's daughter just trying to be a normal college student. And I think we can find a pretty good page for that. I feel like Lore Olympus is one long colored page, so I don't know if I'll color anything for that unless I find the Lore Olympus coloring book. But we'll find one for Death's Daughter. And I started it because so many people didn't finish it, didn't like it, and I wanted to make sure I was going to finish it before I talked about it with you. And I'm actually enjoying it, so I don't see any reason why I wouldn't finish it. Anyway, so we're saying goodbye to Zhara. Bye, Zhara. You were a good book. Lots of fun. And I will see you, my dear friend, in the next video. Thanks for coming by. I love you. Bye-bye.